Hey guys, this is Beth Shields, and I appreciate all of you guys joining me today. I have some of my coaching clients, and I have Will Hamilton with Edge Home Finance joining us today. We are going to kind of let Will do an introduction, his stuff, his information, who he is, and then we're going to allow a couple of my coaching clients to join and ask any questions that they might have, and I might have some as well. Just to give you a little bit of history on Will and I. I met Will, I think I was maybe a month or two into real estate. So he's been with me since the very beginning. And I really owe a lot of my success to him and his support and his guidance and coaching in the very beginning of my career and getting into the industry and kind of really learning um, everything there is to learn, and I'm still learning everything. But one of the things that I talk to you guys a lot about is how important it is to have the support people in your business and to that you can feel comfortable asking any sort of question to, and knowing that there's no judgment or stupid questions. I can't tell you how many times I had to have Will explain things to me because I just didn't understand it. And he never made me feel like I didn't know things or that I was stupid or anything like that. So I just think it's super important that you guys, either if it's not Will, it's some lender or someone that you guys can really connect with and build those relationships, because it's imperative to your success. I can tell you with 100% certainty, the beginning of my career, if not all of it, would have probably looked significantly different had Will not been involved. So I'm super appreciative and super thankful that we still work together, and we have a good relationship. I've got to watch him and his life and all the changes he's experienced over the past few years. And he's always entertained when he talks to me. so so from here, I'm going to let Will go ahead and introduce himself, and then we'll go ahead and get started with some questions.
Well, hi, my name is Will Hamilton. I've been lending for way too long. I put years on it, but it's been a long time. So I've worked with as a broker again now just since November. I worked as a correspondent banker for the 11 years prior to that at Fairway Independent Mortgage. And before that, I worked as a broker. So, and if you're wondering about the difference between brokers, banks, and correspondent lenders, you guys can surely ask me the questions. You may know that, and that would just be me telling you something that you already know, because there are some other things that I like to get into. But as far as having a teammate, just like Beth was saying, it's important to have a lender that you trust, that trusts you, and something I'm going to get into that knows how to sell you. Because, with the new NAR settlement, especially, you have to, for some people, it's hard to sell themselves to people, right? It's harder than me selling you to them. So if it's a new borrower that you're just working with, I mean, it's a lot easier if you can push them over to my court, and I can have a conversation. Now all of a sudden I'm talking differently about Chelsea. Okay, this is what Chelsea does. This is why she's so great. For an example, I can tell you about Beth. Say a coworker sent another coworker over to Beth that she's used, so she doesn't know them. So, and how does she get them to me? Because hey, I don't want to get pre-approved right now. I don't want my credit pulled. I don't want anything like that. So here's the softer sell on it. It's like, hey, no, you don't have to fill out a loan application. They're not going to pull credit. You make sure that your lender is going to do this, because this is your actual sales call. You have to look at it that way. Like, if I can get them over there, Will or whomever is going to sell me to them, because it's very important because of all the, this new, you got to sign early. You have to go over all the numbers up front, and that's going to scare some people. So if you can get them over to your lender, and they can have the conversation like, as Beth, okay, so how do you know Beth? I mean, my first question of this new borrower, and they would say, well, my coworker used Beth to buy their home, and they thought she was great. Oh, well, they did put you in good hands. Beth's top-notch agent. What sets Beth apart with a lot of agents is I mean, she's a big time negotiator. Like that's very important. Oftentimes that's missed as a real estate agent. People think that they're just showing them houses and that's it. It's the negotiation. She wants to get you the best deal on that house. How does she do that? Well, she's going to run comps to make sure she's in the right range. Also, she's going to make the phone call. A lot of real estate agents are afraid to pick up the phone to call the listing agent. And the reason why she does that is because he can gather information like are they looking for a quick sale? Are they did they already buy another property? There's all these things. They're moving out of town. What she can get these little bits of information, and that helps with the negotiation. And then you can talk, and then I would also talk about how she is as a real estate agent showing homes. Beth isn't just an agent that's going to show you a home. If you like it, let's sign. She doesn't do that. You're going to walk into a home, you're going to love it, and she's going to start pointing things out like, oh, you said you wanted a 4 bedroom, and I know it listed as a 4 bedroom, but this one room doesn't have a closet, right? So this is an office. You're going to lose some space there. There's a crack in the foundation out there. We're going to have to go look at that. So what she's doing is she wants to make sure you don't go under contract. Now you're noticing these things. Now you're second guessing everything. She wants to make sure when you get in, you're comfortable, you understand everything. So that's important. So what I'm doing is I'm selling Beth because now when you're talking with a borrower that has never met you, even though they were introduced to you by a friend, they're still hesitant when you're bringing in numbers to the game, right? Oh, do I have the right person? All of a sudden, when numbers are brought up after this conversation, they know how strong Beth is. They know, okay, well, she's a top-notch agent. She's gonna look out for my best interest. She's a great negotiator. She's gonna do the hard things. Those are the things I'm trying to stress, right? So it makes it easier for you to sell yourself at that point. So I just feel like it's a huge thing right now, that you need teammates on your side that can help you with this. Because I don't know, some people aren't comfortable with the whole, hey, well, we got to talk about this big number right here, when you're talking about your percentage of how much you're going to make, and all of a sudden that doesn't make sense to them because all in their mind, all you're going to do is show me a house. Why am I going to pay all this money? You have to explain why. No, I'm not going to show you a house. I'm going to negotiate for you. I'm going to get you into the right position. I'm going to make sure that the property is priced correctly because they don't know, they can put any price online, but until you run comps, you don't know where that real number is. So I just feel like it's very important. And normally I wouldn't talk about these kinds of things in a call like this. It would be more over products and all that stuff. But I just feel like this is important. This is for you guys. It's really important. And remember, whether it's me or another lender, make sure you have a conversation. This is a sit down conversation where they really have to know you, right? They want to find out your strengths, your weaknesses, and all that stuff so they can make sure they're selling you on all your strengths, right? So that's the big thing. But you have to find a way to get them over to their side because it's hard, I know, because people feel like instantly when you bring up a lender, that's loan application, credit, all of this stuff. So you have to make sure that it's nothing like that. It's, oh, no, this is a quick, easy conversation. All he's going to ask you a couple questions. And then the reason why you want to do this is because rates are jumping up and down and all around right now. And so he can find out which product's best for you. You may have some lending questions. He's going to answer these questions for you. You're not going to sign anything. He's not going to pull any credit. It's just a conversation. So whatever you can do to get them to call that's the key as far as this whole NAR settlement. It's a pickle just getting
Yeah.
in, when you jump in. And we as lenders, we had to go through something that was very similar to this. And we were fine in the end. It feels like this big beast because it's new, but as we move forward, it's going to be normal. It's going to be a lot easier for everyone, just like it was for us. So I don't feel like it's a big issue. I just feel like find ways to 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 make it a little easier on you for now. And I feel like, to have a salesperson on your side, because you do with a lender, you should, and have that salesperson that's going to sell you up and down. I just feel like that's going to be a big benefit to all of us here in the near future. But otherwise, we as a broker, the reason why I left the correspondent side is when you're a correspondent banker, you're just kind of they set these parameters and that's it, right? You don't have anything outside the box. It's whatever they're selling, whatever Fairway sold, that's what we got to sell. As a broker now, I mean, we're open up to well over 100 different lenders or banks. So I have so many different types of loans. And it was hard for me in the very beginning coming back in the broker world because I was used to saying no sometimes. And that was the first thing that the guy that brought me over, he goes, you have to remember, you have to say yes now because you can go find a loan. Like you have a chance. And it took me a little while. I was like, yeah. So I remember hanging up the phone one time when talking to someone. I was like, wait, hold on. Condotel, I can do that now. Let me just make a phone call. So it's definitely different. The reason why I left the correspondent side after 10 years is because the rates were just getting they were too far apart. Normally, the reason why I was on the correspondent side, not the broker side, was because I'm all about service. Beth will tell you this. I'm the service guy and I talk real numbers. I want everyone to know everything at all times, and I want to make sure I have control of that file all the way through. So that's why I was a big correspondent guy. Well, the rates just started, and usually the interest rates were, let's just say they're an eighth off, eighth higher on the correspondent side than a broker side at that point. Well, that gap started widening. Now it's more like three eighths. Well, I started feeling it's not that I couldn't sell the rate because I could, but I had trouble. But it was really that I'm not giving my clients the best rate now. Now I know I'm going in with a three eighths or half point higher. I don't want to do that. So I started investigating the broker world again and found out that I won't lose control anymore. I get to talk to the underwriters. I can close my own deals. I can do all of these things that I had no idea. We're trained that brokers are bad because we lose contract with the file, and that's just not the case anymore. It was way back in the day when I was a broker a million years ago. Yeah, that's it. You packaged up a file, a paper file, and you sent it on to the bank and they would underwrite it. You couldn't talk to the underwriter, or you could just talk to your account executive and that's it. But now it's not like that. Underwriters call you. It's your account executives are all over it. So I found I won't be going back to the correspondent side. I'm definitely going to be sticking to this broker world. So do you guys have any questions about the brokers and bankers or anything like that?
Yeah, I'm not familiar with the different terms, the
Okay.
correspondence in the broker world. So, um, if you could just explain that a little bit.
Okay. So there's three different sectors. There's the bank, depository, right? Bank of America. You can have your keep your money there. You can get car loans, mortgages, all of that. Correspondent banker is the next step, and it's pretty much a bank except for it's not a depository. And all they're going to do are mortgages, which means they can hold their own paper. They can bill you monthly. They have their own warehouse lines. They close in their name. So you're just dealing with that one company. As a broker, the difference is we shop you. When I have a borrower coming over, I'm going to shop the rates and the service and find out who's got the better deal. The reason why we get lower rates on the broker side, even if I took it to Bank of America, is because they're going to offer me wholesale rates because they don't have to hire me to give them business. So that's how they do it. They drop the rates. So we're getting wholesale rates instead of retail rates. It's just like anything with wholesale and retail. So our rates are going to be lower and the service is still there. So those are the only differences. So when you're a correspondent, it's just when you go to the closing table, say it's Fairway, it's going to close in Fairway's name. As a broker, it depends on which lender. If we send you to UWM, it's going to close PennyMac. It's going to close in their name. It won't close in Edge Home Finance's name. That's basically it.
Okay,
Not
thank
much
you.
more than that. Yeah, no problem. Any other questions about that?
So, Will, I have a couple questions. So both of these guys and a couple of the other people that I work with, they're either newer agents or agents who've been in the business a little while and would like to take their business kind of to the next level. Are there any tips from a lender's perspective that you might be able to give them on how to get return business? I feel like that's something that you're really good at. Or any tips that you might be able to give them on how to get more business to help them grow?
I would say pick a niche. Like, don't just if you go and say, okay, I want to just work with teachers. You don't have to only work with teachers, but if you focus on that, and you become the teacher's real estate person, then you're going to find that if you just focus on marketing to teachers, doing all that, it's easier than being so broad. It doesn't mean like, again, you're not going to only work with teachers. It could be relocation. You want to focus just on relocation, then be the relocation realtor, whatever the case may be. Because again, you're going to get other business, but I found that it's cheaper to do it that way or less expensive to market if you're just targeting one specific person or people. And it's easier because you don't have to learn this and learn that, learn all these things. Just learn why. Okay, I'm the teacher realtor. What makes me different? It's all about teachers. Get with your lender. What programs are out there for teachers or relocation? You're going to have to, you'll have to figure out some relocation things like certain areas of Denver, why you should move in this area, in this area, in this area, all of those things. So I would say that if you're doing any type of marketing, that's what you want to do it that way for sure. And as far as another thing, so being new, and yeah, I worked with Beth when she was new, and I love working with new real estate agents. And this is what I told Beth in the beginning. I said, whenever you have a question, you call me, and before you ask anybody any other questions, say a listing agent says something and you don't understand it, you call Will. We talk about it. Now I make you, when you contact that person, it's not like, oh, what do you mean by that? It's more like now you fully understand it. You're going to have the confidence going in to answer the question the right way or ask another question. Well, why want to do it this way? I did that a million times with Beth. I love that. We can make you smarter as well. So just always remember that with any lender that you're working with, they should be able to guide you through with questions that you have, because you're going to have a lot of questions. And the worst thing you can do is not ask the question. If you don't ask the question when you're going in, now all of a sudden you didn't say something that was right. Now they know you're new, and it just kind of all of a sudden, they start pushing buttons, and it's not the right way to do it. The easier way to do it is to contact your teammate, because that's how I feel. I'm a teammate of yours. So
Awesome. Thank you. So, another question I have, this was something that we worked on. I mean, this is years ago, and I use this in my business all the time. As a listing agent, I get a lot of offers, especially during COVID. I got tons of offers on houses, right? And Will, can you share with them what are some questions that we as listing agents should be asking lenders on the offers when we're doing our due diligence as a listing agent?
yes, the first question would be, do you have all of the documents in the file, right? So there's a difference between a pre-qual and a pre-approval. I'm going to go over that right now. So pre-qual just means someone completed a loan application and you pulled their credit, you ran them through an automated system, Freddie Mac or Fannie Mae, and it says approve eligible. That's pre-qual, but that means that I don't have any documentation. I'm just going off of what they put on a loan application. A pre-approval means that I have all of the income and assets in the file, so I have all of their documentation. Now I'm able to pre-approve them. So the questions you should ask, are they fully pre-approved? And I would ask them, because they're going to say yes, so you have all income and all assets in the file, all verified, correct? Yeah, so everything, and do you have them? I would say, do you have them approved Freddie or Fannie? The reason why you're asking that, they should just tell you both. But if they just say, oh, it's Fannie, okay. Is there a reason why you're just using Fannie? The reason why you're asking these questions is because that person's going to know, the lender knows you know what you're looking for, right? You're asking questions, and you want to make sure that these people are pre-approved. The final question is, do you foresee anything going wrong with this file as we move forward? Do you foresee anything? It's an important question because the reason why I bring that question up is because a real estate agent asked me that one time, and I felt uncomfortable when they asked me that, because I thought about the file and I was like, no, everything feels good. But it was the fact that I had that feeling where I was like, that is a really good question, because now you're putting you're putting it right on the table. You're saying, do you foresee any issues? Now, if you come up with issues right now, which your first call is to the lender, hey, I thought you said you didn't foresee any issues. This is a pretty big issue. I mean, they have a bankruptcy, and if you said you had a full and complete file, you didn't see any issues, now there's a bankruptcy that popped up. How do you not know about the bankruptcy? So it's those types of questions. But I would just make sure that they have income and assets verified. That's the big thing. Because if they tell you that and they don't, well, that's on them. Yeah, they should have all of that stuff. But you want to make sure the biggest thing is they're not just pre-qualified, because that doesn't mean anything in this world. Buyers are liars. That's what we always say. So they put stuff on their loan applications that aren't real. So I have $1 million. Well, I mean, it's all in ones and it's under my mattress. It's like you can't trust anything until you have the documentation. So that's what I would say.
Awesome. I can't tell you guys how many times I use those exact questions when I'm verifying stuff, and it's always interesting to hear lenders it's always that last question where they kind of like pause and then they kind of get a little uncomfortable, and I think it's been great. And I will tell you, it is saved a file or two where one person was like, well, I don't have all of their documents and I'm still missing their whatever taxes. And so we moved on to the next offer because everything wasn't there and it wasn't complete. So another question I have is as newer agents and agents looking to expand their business, do you have any tips for them on how they should be looking for or vetting or interviewing potential lender partners for them to be working with? Because I think that that's imperative to the success of their businesses.
Yeah, I think you want to work with someone that is like you as well. So you want someone that's not super busy, that can actually, that they'll take time, since you guys are newer, to take time and go through things with you. Not like, okay, send me a person and I'll get them pre-approved and go ahead and send them on the street. Well, you want to know some things, because the more you know, of course, the better you will be in the future as well. So I think you want to work with someone that has patience, that just is not a one and done, let's get it going. You want someone that, a client for life kind of a mindset, client together for life mindset. So I would say interview lenders, have conversations with different lenders. Don't just, as because you may strike it up, a great conversation with a lender, and you start working with them, and all of a sudden, well, God, they're not getting back. Why do I always have to ask them how the file's doing? Right. So learn from those. And those are questions that you ask a lender. Are you going to keep me well informed throughout the process? If there's a problem, do you just contact me first? As a good lender, if there's an issue with the file, that doesn't necessarily, because there's another side to this. That doesn't mean that I'm just going to contact Beth right today and go, okay, Beth, we have a problem. No, the lender is not going to do that, because I would be making a million calls all the time. Our job, my job as a lender, is a stress buffer, right? That's what I do. So if something comes up and I can't fix it, now I'm going to call Beth. But if a problem comes up, it's my job is to fix that problem and never tell Beth about this problem if I don't have to. Now, if it comes to it, you want to also work with a lender that's not just going to be afraid of an issue. This is important, because if they're afraid of an issue, they're going to let it sit there and fester, and they don't want to eat that frog. They're just going to push it off, and hope it gets better in the end. Now, all of a sudden, you're getting close to your dates, and you're like, oh, well, we have an issue. Well, how did you not know about this issue 2 weeks ago? It gets frustrating. So work with someone that's not afraid to tell you if there's an issue, but you also don't want the person that's going to call you up about every issue, because that's just a nightmare. Because now that's all you're thinking about, and you can't do anything about it, right? I'm the one still working on trying to fix it, and you're sitting there going, "When's he going to call me? When's he going to call me? Is it fixed? Is it fixed?" So everyone's stressing out when it doesn't need to be that way.
I think it's very similar to how our industry, right? We're like, as Will said, we're a stress buffer for our sellers and our buyers, right? And so you can kind of see the domino effect, right? He tries to fix the problem before it comes to be our problem, right? And kind of just like we try to fix a problem before it becomes our seller's problem. And so it's a nice thing to know when you've got somebody on the lending side to be able to just trust that that you have the confidence in their ability that they're going to take care of their job. And that's one of the things that I talk to you guys a lot about that's super important is you've got to have the people in your industry that you can trust, right? But also not only that you can trust, but that make you look good, right? So Will helps me to look good because he's a problem solver. He's proactive instead of reactive. And so he's already thinking 10 steps down the road of, okay, well, this is a potential problem that could show up down here. Here's how we're going to fix this, or how do we do this? And I'll get a phone call well before, whatever could be causing the issue. And the other thing that's super nice is Will also is very proactive about looking out for clients' earnest money, right? That's all of our job is to protect our clients' earnest money. And in Colorado, we know it's really, really hard to lose your earnest money. However, I did get somebody's earnest money this year. So, as a listing agent, I'm kind of proud of that one. I'm like, it takes a lot to get somebody's earnest money in this state. It's really, really important. And that's why I keep talking to you guys. Like, so I want to bring people in for you guys to get to know them and learn who they are. And potentially kind of just pick, even if you just take one thing from this meeting today that you kind of learned and were like, that's a great tool I'm going to utilize. It's just so imperative that we have that support system behind us because our job is very stressful and we're juggling 95 different balls in the air trying to make sure everything gets to the closing table. And I know that with my lenders, the ones that I've chosen to work with, I don't have to worry about the lending aspect, right? Do I have to worry about the lending aspect on when I'm the listing agent? Absolutely. It's probably the most stressful part of my job is wondering what's going on the other end of that. So, Will, could you speak to what you do as a lender to help a buyer's agent kind of help the situation kind of go through the process? I know that you're constantly in touch with the listing agent and communicating with them. Would you share a little bit about how you do that?
Yeah, so the first thing, and your lender should always be reaching out to the listing agent. Even if they don't want you to reach out, I still reach out because if I get them on the phone, I've been doing this for a long time, so I know exactly what to say. I don't even wait for the questions, right? I'm already going to give them the information when I make the phone call. I tell them, hey, fully, I have all income and all assets verified. I don't see any problems with this file whatsoever. So they don't have to ask me any questions. I've actually had real estate agents go, well, I answered all my questions that I had for you. Well, that makes us all look better. And I also ask questions like about, well, how much activity do you have on the property? I'm going to go into those things because if I can get a little morsel of something that we didn't know, great. And then I'll call Beth up and I'll say, hey, check this out. We didn't know this, but something blah 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 whatever happened on this file. This is what we're looking at. Or sometimes they'll actually tell me everything's looking really good. We're probably going to approve your offer. Well, then I'm like, all right, well, I'll contact Beth, not the borrowers, to say that. Say, hey, everything sounded pretty good. It sounds like they may accept our offer. I'm not going to contact the borrowers with that information because if they don't accept it, now I just let them down, right? What do you mean? Why'd you tell me that? So that's something that you close up with them. But yeah, I like to make sure I have a warm and fuzzy with that listing agent and to let them know they can reach out to me anytime. And when I always end the call by saying, hey, if you come up with any other questions when you're talking with the seller about our offer, feel free to give me a call. I can answer their questions too. So they know that I want to make them feel comfortable with the lending side. Because like Beth said, now I'm the one that's coming in and they don't know me, or maybe they worked with me in the past, but I'm the other lender. Now I'm the could be issue, right? So I want to make sure that they feel nice, warm and fuzzy. And I let them know I'm gonna give them an idea of exactly where we are with the file when they need to pull them in. Hey, the appraisal's been completed, all of that stuff. I make sure I tell them, yes, I'll keep you well informed. I think that's very important. But make sure your lenders are reaching out. Most lenders, I believe, do, but it's also they need to know what to say, not just calling, hey, yeah, you received my pre-approval letter, so everything looks good. I mean, you got to get a little more detail. Don't even let them ask the questions. Just answer that, because even if they weren't going to ask those questions, the listing agent, now they have the information. So now they really feel comfortable because they weren't even going to ask any questions. Just think about if you were a listing agent, you're a newer agent and you have a listing, and I called you, my borrower is going to buy this house, and I called you and I just told you all that information. I said they're fully approved, automated approval, have all income assets verified, credit looks great. They're both salaried employees. I'll tell them that because I always bring up the highlights of the file. We have zero issues with the job, down payments all sourced and ready to go. I'm going to explain all that to them, and I don't foresee any issues with this file moving forward. So don't you feel comfortable now? I just told you how strong this file is. You didn't ask a question. So you're like, oh, well, this guy knows what he's doing. So now you feel a little more comfortable about that file. So that's why I always make sure I reach out to the listing agent.
Awesome. So before I ask any more questions, Tana or Chelsea, do either of you guys have questions?
I have a question. I'm one of those newer agents, and I guess my big question is just like, how do you, because your time is valuable. So I have a client right now that is they're not tech savvy. They have been somewhat difficult to get all their documentation, just to even get qualified. And so, like, what support would you give me to help them? Like, what is your availability? What is opportunities that I should expect of a lender, and also something special that you would offer?
Well, I think what I like to do, especially if there's a distance thing as well with our wonderful traffic nowadays here in Colorado, that the conversations we have really detailed conversations of what type of documentation that we're going to need. Now, the help factor is yes, I would ask for your help too. After I'm going to ask them for their documentation that I'm going to go and pick up. I'd have zero problems with picking up documents from borrowers and sitting down with them and going over it. Some people are still old school, right? I'm an old school guy. They want to sit down. So even if I'm going out to see them somewhere, I don't have an office, well, I'll contact a title company. It doesn't matter. Meet in a coffee shop, whatever the case may be, at their home. That's no problem because I will go over things on my computer. I bring my computer with me over on the computer to explain everything to them. But what we have to do is this is the part that's the hassle is if I ask them for documentation, I go pick it up and they have half of it. Now I have to go get the other half, and then I go back out there and now it's 20%. I mean, how serious are they of a buyer? Do they really want to buy a home? Because if you want to buy a home, then I'm telling you we're going to need this information. So that's why I would lean on my real estate agent. It just depends on the borrower. I'm bringing up like a really tough borrower, right? One that just seems interested, kind of, but you're unsure. So that's why I make sure my conversations, I'm detailed about it. We're going to need this. I need all pages of this, and this is the reason why. I go over everything. And then before I go out, I'll ask them, do you have all the documentation we talked about? Okay, great. Well, I'll meet you and I'm going to go over a few things with them. We're not just going to pick up the documents. I want to sit down with them because they're face-to-face people. If they're not tech savvy or they can't upload documents, well, that means that they're people to people. They want the handshake. They want the sit down, the conversation, the real live one. And I understand that. So yeah, I would sit down and want to have that conversation with them.
Was that helpful, Tana?
Yes, thank you. And I mean, this is a totally off topic one, but this is just something I don't know. If they are on Social Security and that income needs to be verified, can their taxes be that verification, or do they have to actually have a letter for disability?
Yeah, the awards letter, we're going to need that. And so with Social Security income, sometimes we can gross it up too. And that's if they aren't, they don't have taxable income, then you can gross it up 125%. But yeah, you need the awards letter. And I know sometimes it's hard for them to track those awards letters down, right? Because they get it in the mail and they don't know what they do with it. But yeah, you will need that.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Those are
But
great
these,
questions, Tana.
by the way, I was just gonna say that. That's a perfect question that you should be calling your lender about, right? Automatically. Not even like that's instant. Like you can send that text, hey, I have this. That's what I'm talking about. Prime question, perfect question that you should be. Don't spin your wheels wondering about it, trying to look it up anywhere. Reach out to your lender, call them, text them. They'll have the answer for you right now. So then now we know how to move forward with it, right? Now we have to say, okay, well, if they don't have their words letter, how can they go about getting it? Right now, they have to contact Social Security office, find out if we can get another works letter or a copy of it. They can actually go online, even though they're not tech savvy. But I can walk them through that, and we can get that way as well.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Do you have any questions, Chelsea?
Not that I can think of off the bat. But yeah, I mean, like I will say that in my previous transactions, yeah, having a lender that I can call and talk to and ask, those questions has been super helpful as a new agent. So
Yeah,
thank you
well,
for
and I'm here to help, and I will tell you, Beth has called me many a times after talking to the other lender, and she will say this, is this bullshit? This guy told me this. This is real. These are real stories. And I was like, yeah, that is bullshit. She goes, I knew it was bullshit. I wasn't even going to call you. I already knew it was bullshit. I just wanted to hear you say it was bullshit. So then she calls, it's Beth. She's going to call that lender and go, hey, you're all bullshit. So she already knew the answer, but yep, she's still calling me just to find out for sure. So I always say, and don't think, as far as I'm concerned, if you work with Beth, you're part of the whole Beth team here. So don't if you're working with another lender, don't think, oh, I'm just not going to call Will because I'm not sending him any business. It doesn't. If I'm available, I'll answer your questions. We all want to succeed here, right? So I'll help you down the line with a deal. It doesn't matter. Your lender's busy on vacation. I got to call Will just to ask him a question. I don't have any business with him. I'm not going to send him anything right now, but I have a question. Don't feel weird about it. Just shoot me a text, give me a call. Just I'll be here to answer your questions.
I have a client right now who um I went to high school with this guy and he's a lender and she's a previous high school classmate. So she was like, I just called so and so and we're gonna see our financing options and whatnot. And I know him. So I'm texting him trying to, like, hey, we're gonna go look at these houses today. And you know, and and I really like him as a person, but he's not doing anything like proactive for my clients. Like I would like my clients to be pre-qualified or pre-approved so we know what we're kind of looking at, like what kind of programs that they can be offered. And he's just kind of dropping the ball and not helping me get these people, and they're like, I don't know if we can qualify, we have this and that. And I'm trying to encourage them to talk to other lenders and get another opinion, but they're so hung up on giving our friend this, working with our friend. But I don't know how to tell them that we're not getting what we need.
Well, an easy way to do that is, um, I was just talking with a real estate agent friend of mine, and she was talking about this lender that she has that all these crazy programs and able to get people pre-approved when they don't think they can get pre-approved. Maybe, and I have his phone number if you want to reach out to him. So you have to make it like a wow moment, like not like you're trying to push someone in a different direction. Because you can actually say maybe he'll tell us something, we can bring it back and use it with our guy, right? Maybe he'll
Mhm.
just give us a deal and say, hey, can you do this? And he'll say yes. Doesn't mean you're using me. But yeah, that's the only way you can do this soft pullover is, oh, I just heard, we just had a meeting and this was brought up and I just wasn't sure because you guys said you're not sure if you qualify and I don't know how far along you are in the process right now, but if you want to see, maybe check this out. So the way I can
Okay.
see that you can go about it because that's a tough one because everyone's so close knit. It's hard to pull someone away from that. So it's more like maybe just go ask a question.
Okay.
And good that I know that as well. Because if that does happen, that's great for you to get to closing too. I don't need to get it, right? If they called me and I said, oh, well, you should be doing this program, right? This will get you qualified. And they take that back to the other lender and he's like, oh yeah, we have that. We have that. Perfect. That means you won, right? Now you can get under contract to get the deal closed. That's a win. So
Mhm.
just again, it's another conversation thing. And you can also bring up to them, he's not going to pull your credit or anything. Just have a conversation with them. And you can say, don't do an application. He won't ask you anyway. He said he wouldn't, and he's not going to pull any credit. He's not going to do any of that, but you can at least have a conversation with him. Because ultimately I'm gonna have to do those things to get them pre-approved, right?
Yeah.
But for me to have a conversation, it makes after they're done meeting with me, conversation, it's very unlikely that have them complete a loan application at that point, because they're going to be like, okay, I see what he's saying. Let's get it going. I want to buy a house, so let's go.
Yeah.
So if you have any more questions about that, like you're talking to them and they say something else, then just reach out to me. We'll formulate a little plan.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to like, they want to be set up on a search right now and see houses, and I'm like, what's our price range? Like, where are we at? And, like, let's start there so we can know where we're looking and stuff. But he's just kind of like dropping the ball, and I need to somehow push these clients to go talk to someone who's going to be helpful, because
And
like you
the
said, like I
question,
need someone on my team. Like I need my lender, and it's important for us, why it's important to get pre-qualified before we go look for homes and stuff. And to sell me too, like, you need to, this is helpful for Chelsea. I don't feel like I'm getting anything on that end to help me move forward with these buyers.
well, yeah, because it doesn't sound like the first question I ask a new buyer is what's a comfortable mortgage payment for you? And usually the response to that is, oh, well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. They are sure, but they don't want to tell me because they feel like I'm just going to focus on that payment and that payment alone. So I have to explain to them that doesn't mean I can't get you approved for more, but let's start where you're comfortable because I have your down payment funds. I know what your credit score is, so I can get you close on a payment. So my recommendation to you would be, have you worked out like what you feel comfortable with as your mortgage payment? If they say no, well, yeah, you're right, because you're spinning your wheels now. You're taking them to homes that's going to be one of those prime examples where they go and look at an $850,000 home, and then once they're really excited about it and they want to run numbers because they want to write an offer, and they're going to go, "Whoa, that payment's like $1,200 more than we thought." So now there's a couple things that are gonna happen. You're gonna say, oh, okay, well now we know we can't write on this one. That's gonna be devastating to them, right? Not only that, now we're gonna have to drop you down $150,000 to get you close to what you want to buy. Well, that home's not gonna look like the $850,000 home, right? So now it's gonna be more time for them to have to figure that out in their mind that they're gonna have to take this lesser home. So yeah, you're thinking the right way. Is the reality of it is they are wasting your time. Like this whole the lender's wasting your time by not getting them pre-approved. Because if you don't want that to happen, I don't let that happen. I'll say, no, if you want that $750,000 home, payment's going to be X. And I can do that without a loan application. That's why I say that initial call, and Beth knows this too. I tell people to text me property addresses and I'll run numbers for them. And then I text them back what the full payment looks like. Because you don't want to show them a home. They're driving down to at like 45 minutes to show them a home. And all of a sudden they don't like the payment, right? That's wasting your time. My goal is to save you time. And that is, you're right, that's not helping you because that's actually hurting you. So you have to get them to at least give you an answer about the payment. Have you figured out your payment so we know what your price range is, your
Mhm.
comfortable payment, not your qualified payment? Because then, that's you asking that question. Just say your comfortable payment or ask the lender that. Have you figured out a payment so we know these are the things I'm fearing. If we do find a home and they don't like that payment, that's not going to be good for us. So, I mean, I
Yeah,
don't
and
know
I
how much.
and I have asked those questions,
Oh,
and I'm not getting anything. So it will be a conversation, I think, with my buyers that like, hey, it wouldn't hurt to talk to some other lenders and kind of see, because I know their budget is really tight. They're in a difficult situation. And um I mean, the home that we looked at was like 400,000, and I think that might even be a little much for them, and so we get down under 400,000, there's not a lot to choose from. Um, but yeah, I just it's a conversation I need to have with my buyers that we should probably interview other lenders and see what else is out there.
So Chelsea, I would really encourage you to, in the way that you talk to them, how I like what's going through my brain right now is with the NAR settlement, we should be talking to them about what they're going to be on the hook for, right? If Mr. Seller or the seller's brokerage is not going to compensate us for our compensation, well, how can you adequately tell and coach your clients, right? Of what they could be potentially having to pay for you, right? So I think that it's a go back to the basics in the very beginning with your clients and be like, and I think sometimes they really want us to take the lead, right? Hey, you guys hired me to do a job. And sometimes it's a little uncomfortable to take that leadership role, especially if they've been friends. But I kind of use the phrase like, hey, when you guys hired me, you hired me to do a job. So I'm taking off my friend hat right now and I'm putting on my realtor hat right now. And I promised you guys when we very first started working together that sometimes I was going to be very direct with you. And right now I just feel like we're kind of directionalists and I want to kind of make sure that I'm doing the best job for you guys. And then from there, I would say at this point in this process, we've gone and looked at a home or two or three, and we still don't really know what those numbers look like, and we're not ready to move forward anymore from there. And I would say I think it's my encouragement would be to have a conversation with another lender. It's not obligating you to work with him. It's not, they're not going to pull your credit. I would just really encourage you to talk to another lender because number one, I recommend that you talk to two, if not three different lenders in the home buying process. So why not just be introduced to somebody else now? Give you the opportunity to see if you get further in the process and see if he's able to help support and get us to our end goal. And then I would just explain, I want us to get you guys your ultimate goal, which is out of renting and into a home where you get to like own it and you have a little bit more space and there's stability for you guys. So I would really encourage you to take them from where they are right now and you guys are kind of just spinning your wheels and kind of hanging out and just take them back to the very beginning and the basics of, we always talk to two, if not three lenders, and we know who your first one is, but I'm going to encourage you to talk to a second, if not a third one, and just really kind of encourage them that way and just tell them like you've hired me to do a job and to coach you through this process and see I think you'll be pleasantly surprised how well they'll respond to it.
Okay. Thank you.
Welcome. You had some great questions. Does anybody else have any other questions? We're going to wrap it up here soon. No? Well, I really want to thank you, Will, for joining us this morning. It feels like it went really, really fast and we didn't get to talk like a ton, but I really appreciate you joining us today. And I'd love to have you come back on at some point in the future. And at that point, I'd like you to kind of maybe talk about different programs because we hear about, this program and that program, and maybe you could kind of just loop us in on what kind of different programs are out there and give us the opportunity to ask questions. So I'd love to have you back on at a future time. So
Sure.
yeah. Thank you guys for joining me this morning. Thank you, Will.
Thanks.
you.
Bye. Nice
Have a
meeting you
great
guys.
day. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.
Bye.